I have the sheep brain, some of the most important structures before I dissect down the medial longitudinal fissure, which is here, are the cerebrum, I think, right here. No, this is, I apologize, this is the cerebellum. The cerebrum is here. Yes, along here. This is the spinal cord. This is the frontal lobe. This here is the I don't want to mispronounce it, so we'll go to the next one. This here, apologize, is the temporal lobe, and then back here on the back is the occipital lobe. We have if we look from under, the left hemisphere, the medial longitudinal fissure, the right hemisphere. If we're looking this way, the right hemisphere, like in an MRI. We have the brain stem. In here we have the medulla. Here's the pons. Under here, move this, sorry. Here's the optic tract, the optic chiasm, the optic nerve. Here is the olfactory bulb, these. Here is the midbrain. These divots are sulcis, or sulcis, cannot remember the name, like the pronunciation. And I want to call these gyres, or gyres. My brain does not want to remember. So now I will make the incision down the medial longitudinal fissure. Sorry, my things are in the way. Split them down the hemispheres so we can see both sides equally. Wow. So as we're looking in here, this is still the cerebrum. Back here is the cerebellum. Here is the spinal cord still. Here is the medulla, right in here. That is crazy, sorry. Here is the thalamus. And right here is the corpus callosum, this really opaque white right here. Up here, when I look at it this way, is the midbrain, like on the side view. And here and here, like this opaque white right here, is, I'm sorry, the arbor vitae. It's the branching of the white matter in the cerebellum, kind of like a tree. Let me think. Yes, in here, So of course, this is the superior, let me see here, right here, the superior colculus, I think, superior colculus, and then to right beside that, right in here, is the pineal body. The pineal body is that endocrine gland that, yes, I remember, it secretes melatonin. Which helps our circadian rhythm, and it's also important in our timing of sexual development. I remember that one. Let me see. Down here is the hypothalamus, and that is, it helps with, the importance of it is hormone secretion, our temperature regulation, our hunger, our mood, if we're tired, fatigue, thirst. Down here is the optic nerve. The optic nerve connects the retina to the optic chiasm, like in the cow eye. It connects through there. You can see it here. The brainstem, we know, is here. It's the root of all information between the forebrain and the spinal cord. It has the pons, the midbrain, the medulla, and then our cerebrum is this big mass of the brain, and it's responsible for our conscious experiences, our emotions, our thoughts, our planning, perception. That's all in the cerebrum. This big mass, not this little one, this big one. And the little mass is our cerebellum. It controls our movements, it controls our balance, our muscle coordination. So these two big parts are pretty important. Let's see. In our frontal lobe, if you can see here, the white matter is made up of myelinated nerve fibers, and it's usually surrounded by the gray matter. And the gray matter has also portions of our central nervous system, but I apologize. It has mainly made of nerve cell bodies. There's the hemispheres, which would be the two sides of the brain, separated by the medial longitudinal fissure, and it is connected by the corpus callosum. Where the spinal cord is, the pons, the medulla, and the cerebellum, it's the hindbrain. The forebrain is consisting of the cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus. So this large mass here, forebrain, this is the hindbrain. Yes, here, we'll do the other side, is the septum pellucidum here. And what that is, it's the membrane in the longitudinal midline of the cerebrum, which is the big mass. And it is what separates the left and right lateral ventricles. The ventricles are the cavities of the brain. I know my daughter had meningitis last year, and she had meningitis, and it, I don't want to say upgraded, but turned into ventriculitis. And I just remember them telling me that the tubes in the that are CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, all of that liquid that's in those connecting tubes that cushion and support the brain, all of that is infected. So it is a little bit hard looking at it, you know. Anyways, the midbrain portion here, let me think, I'm sorry. Here. The superior colliculus here, it coordinates our movement between our head and our eyes. And our neck. It's how we respond to stimuli. And then here, around this, is the third ventricle. And here on the front is our olfactory bulb, and the olfactory bulb is important for our scent, how we can tell certain smells apart, the distinction of odors, things like that.